Hello, my name is Arthur, and in the last video we had left off, hopefully with enough information to be able to make this set of wall images for a Godot tile map. And we're going to get into making another asset. We're going to this time do a tree. And we're going to do that from working from GIMP to Blender to Godot. So I'm pretty rusty at Blender. We'll shut this down and we'll open up our GIMP to start off. First thing we need is a photograph. We're going to start with a photograph. Now, if you don't have a picture of your own, I'm sure you can find something free online. And what you want is a leaf. We're going to make this as an image that we can import into Blender as a plane. So there's many tutorials for Blender and how to do what I'm going to do. So if you want something that's more specific, I would suggest just looking around for more specific tutorials. So my image here was a leaf. I scotch taped it onto some construction paper, taped the construction paper to a window to get some luminosity, if that's the right word, through the leaf and to get a fairly reasonable and bright image of a leaf. It's not going to need to be that perfect for our purposes, and honestly, you could draw a leaf if you wanted to do it that way. But we're going to work from the photograph. It's an imperfect picture, which is good because that will help us to do a process that can deal with an imperfect picture. And what's imperfect about it is we can't simply fuzzy select the leaf very well. Well, that actually worked better than I anticipated, but we're going to go through the process anyways. So what we want to do is duplicate the layer. This layer is going to be for creating a mask. The mask will be used for cutting the leaf out, but it's also useful in Blender for some purposes. First thing we need to do is select all. We're just going to pinch our contrast to get the background nice and white. And from here, regardless of that messy background, we'll get a really clean selection around the leaf. From that really clean selection around the leaf, we can build pretty much everything that we need. So what we'll do is we'll create an alpha mask. So we'll go edit. We'll fill that with a background color of white. Oh, actually, we'll fill that with a background color of black. We'll invert the selection. We'll fill the inverse with white. We'll invert the selection. We'll go down to our actual leaf image. To that layer, we need to go into the layers dialog and add transparency. We'll add an alpha channel to the JPEG, which does not have alpha. Control cut. Now we have something suitable for a PNG file to import into Blender. So we'll just export these two files. We'll call this one alpha mask. And I've already done these images and set them up into my new working folder that has a backup of everything. So we'll call this the alpha mask. I don't think we'll need an alpha mask at all because of the way we're doing this. But it is good to know how to make an alpha mask anyways. So I'm not going to do the alpha or the bump maps and stuff like that because we do not need that much detail. We'll export this as leaf PNG, so the two files will be PNGs. And you can see I'm just replacing files I've already done. We'll export that. And that's taking its time for some reason. Maybe the image is too big. Yeah, it's a pretty big image even. But we're just going to ignore that because the way we're going to take it out of Blender, it doesn't matter the image size. But it is a fairly large image. We'll just discard that, close up GIMP, open up Blender. Now I'm working from 2.9. I don't know if there's a newer version yet or not. We'll do the very typical stuff. We'll change our folder, our temporary folder, and I'm going to put it into my project for my temporary folder. And I'm pretty sure this is quasi-ritual. Delete the default cube. Pretty sure that's how every single Blender tutorial starts. Delete the default cube. So, some pre-setup preferences. We want to check our add-ons. We want to have add curve sapling tree gen enabled for an add-on. And then import images as planes. We're going to want that to be checkmarked. Yeah, there's a lot of tutorials out there for Blender to do this. So we'll shift A to add image as plane. We'll navigate to my working folder. We'll get the leaf image. That'll be standing up on end. So we're going to rotate that along the y-axis by 90 degrees. Let's turn on textures so we can see what we're looking at here. And zoom in on that. So that gets our leaf for our tree. Now I'll check the time. We've got a few minutes left. I have an unverified YouTube account, so time is always a factor for me. Okay, so we want to look at Edge, Subdivide. Really rusty at Blender. I've not used it very much for many years. So we're going to subdivide that a couple of times. Let's go into sculpting. We're going to use this tool, Elastic Deform. And let's take a look at our leaf. Now we just want to pull aspects of the leaf a bit and try to leave this end down at the ground. So that just gives it a small amount of shape. We can go back into layout. We'll go into object, shade smooth to get those creasy lines out of there. And we're just going to call that our leaf shape, and how much work you want to spend on it is a personal choice. So we'll tab into edit mode. We'll look at that from the top again. We're going to grab the image with G and set the stem so that it is on top of the origin. With the stem on top of the origin, we're going to come up to our transform pivot point, and we're going to change that to 3D cursor. We'll shift duplicate our leaf, drop it where it's at. Let's get the rotation tool, and we're going to rotate that leaf a bit. And we'll rotate it along a couple of axes to give it a bit of randomness. We'll shift duplicate that leaf, and we'll do the same thing. We're going to rotate it around a bit and give it a bit of randomness. Now I'm just going to do the 3 leaves, and this will pretty much get us working. So I'm going to rotate it and rotate it some. And we'll just try to get that a bit random. So we can L to select linked. We can rotate that a bit. The way we're rotating it will keep the stems. All inside of the origin. And I don't know. I think that'll be good. We could go back into sculpt and give a little bit more somewhat random shapes to different parts of the leaves, just to give them a little bit of shape and stuff. And that should be good. So we've only got 4 minutes-ish left in my video. So yeah, in the next video we'll come back, we'll add a tree, we'll generate the leaves onto it, and we'll make the image for Godot. So that'll be in the next video, and until then, take care.